Yes, hello. I am James Rowlands. Today it's a WNR453. It's NXT update time. Yes, NXT Deadline is tonight. And believe it or not, the last time we were here was for NXT Halloween Havoc. But I, luckily, am not alone. I have the pleasure to be joined by our resident New Japan and NXT expert and the winner of the Prediction League. It is the one and only Monty. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for the added accomplishment. I was about to say, are you going to start calling me at least a WWE prediction expert? But I must say, man, when you mention Halloween Havoc, it's kind of crazy to me just how far away all of that feels. And I guess you guys will understand that after this show because we have a lot of things that is just 7 weeks worth of content to get into. So. Let's do it.
Yeah, well, like I said, there's a lot to delve into. 7 episodes. Before we do that, though, just a little update because we did mention about WWE Hall of Famer Barry Windham being admitted to hospital in the ICU. He has been removed from the ICU after suffering a major heart attack earlier in the week. His niece, Mika, gave an update on the former Four Horsemen member, saying thank you to all reached out, prayed, contributed, and sent well wishes to my Uncle Barry. Wanted to give an update. He's stabilised out of ICU, talking and able to stand. Thanks again, everyone. There is absolute power in prayer. There's also a GoFundMe campaign starting for the 62-year-old for pay for his medical expenses. And what makes this, like I said, it's sad news, but a little bit of good news from that. But of course, with Bray Wyatt and the Uncle Howdy character as well, it's kind of been thrust into the limelight. But 62 is just too young, and we hope he can have a full recovery,
Agreed, 100%. He's someone who if you just know the name, you just hear the name Barry Windham, and it's synonymous with professional wrestling history. And just when you think about that, and I mention this all the time, we have one of these situations where we either lose a legend or we have a legend in one of these tough situations when it comes to health. We lose so many greats all the time and have lost so many greats over the years in professional wrestling. So it's always kind of cool when you hear, how we all kind of come together as a fandom and as, people who participate in the business come together and can, try to, send whatever support, whether it's financial, whether it's just emotional, whether it's prayer, whatever it is, to people who, left an impact on all our lives. Like we say, we come here, we give wrestlers a hard time sometimes. A lot of times we try to give them flowers, but they risk their lives for us. And a lot of these long-term issues with health, who knows how many, times over the years, taking bumps and doing everything you have to do as a wrestler, how much that they put on the line. And to see later in life some of those bumps or whatever, how they can impact them into their elder statesman years. I agree 100%. 62 is way too young. We want all our legends of wrestling to continue to live on as long as possible. So, yeah, man, it's great news to hear that the condition seems to be improving. So we just keep our ears out and hope that it continues to get better.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. Well, that's the good news out of the way. So on to NXT. Like it says, 7 to review. But I'm quite happy because we have done our updates in the past couple of years where, it's been 5 episodes, but, mass releases has just changed the landscape.
Change everything. Yeah.
Talking about certain wrestlers. I mean, there is going to be a few bits like that, but like I said, it will all catch up as we get into it. So we start October 25th. We see highlights from Havoc, and then on to Title Tuesday as Nikita Lyons, you perverts, and Zoe Stark versus the tag champs Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. Stark rolled up Chance as a non-legal woman to seemingly get the 3 count. The match had to be reset. Chance and Carter hit the 450 splash neckbreaker on Lyons to win. But then again, this going to play into something that's going to happen later on, But again, the match wasn't too bad. But Chance and Carter, I mean, there's no other teams.
Yeah, that's the thing. They don't have much of a division at all. As a matter of fact, by the end of this 7 weeks, you will see that a perfect example of what we mean when it comes to just having contenders to shift through. And but the thing is, their work, I think, for their tag matches and their segments, they're doing a great job making the belt feel like something, being a natural, real team. But I'm with you when it comes to the field or like actually having competition. It's similar to what's kind of going on with the women's tag titles on the main roster. How you don't have to do much to end up in line for a title shot because there isn't a line.
Just literally form a team.
Right. Just form a team, and there you go. Now you have a shot. So, yeah. But this, like you said, this match was not that bad. It was actually solid for the most part. And even though I think the whole, they won the championship finish. We've all seen that a million times. It was still a pretty entertaining segment. But I agree, the champs are definitely suffering because they don't have much of a division that they're champions of.
Well, Wesley's North American title win was overshadowed by our Truth and Grayson Waller. Speaking of champions, we get a video package was shown for Dominik Dijakovic, who burned the T-Mar mask. Shotzi beat Lash Legend. Enough of that. Well, actually, talking about, I don't think I've seen Lash since.
This is her. Exactly. She's been missing. No, nothing. She did absolutely nothing since the Shotzi match.
Oh, good.
So I don't know. Yeah, that should tell you everything about it.
Yeah, She is the... Well, no, let's give her a compliment. She's the Von Wagner of the women's division. I think... Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, we get... Yeah. We get Brutus and Julius Creed come out ready for a fight with Damon Kemp. Kemp told him he's not medically cleared, but Veer Mahan and Sangha laid the Creed brothers out. We'll get more on that in a bit. NXT Tag Team titles Pretty Deadly. Yes, boy. Versus Mallet Blade and Edris Enofi. I will say in a little side note.
This was fun.
I confused the shit out of Jaxie talking about Pretty Deadly. She thinks I was being awkward. I was just going, yes, boy. Side plate check. Yes, I was like, Monty's going to love it. Jackson won't have a clue.
Yeah, Jackson's lost. I definitely popped. I knew exactly what was going on. But, Pretty Deadly is so great. That's all I have to say. Like, even in this segment with the match, they end up getting a really, really good, probably the best showing out of Idris and Blade. And it seemed like, I guess it's not that hard. I think me and you both have already kind of fell in love with the way Pretty Deadly puts their tag matches together, but still, I can't say enough. So keep doing it because I appreciate it. And the more we spread awareness to people like Jackson, it can only more people can find out about how great Pretty Deadly actually is. And we'll be talking about that more as we get into what they'll be doing at Deadline.
Oh, without a doubt, like I said, Blade fell to spilt milk in this one, but like I said, Prince and Wilson are gold. For me, this match should have been at Havoc instead of the ambulance match. Like, give Pretty Deadly a takeover match, but like we said, we got what we wanted. What we didn't want is a schism, which they came out matching yellow masks. We saw Joe Gacy, Rip Fowler, and Jagger Reed. What horrible names. We all talked about what this group means, but finally, Ava Rain revealed herself and accepted the embrace of the schism. So why do people now care, Monty?
I was just about to say, people magically give a damn about schism. Like they haven't been garbage the entire year for the most part. Everyone just seemed to forget about that when you put Ava in there. Seriously though, like the crowd, you'll see as the weeks go by, the crowd actually started to, like they literally were chanting it. I remember vividly, just not that long ago, telling Gacy to shut the F up every time he would try to speak. And now just, the Rock's daughter is here. Well, I think I'm interested now.
They're the greatest team ever.
Right. Man, they have some legs. Let's get them on the main roster. What? What are you talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, wow, but then again, Joe Gacy quits in, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, but like I said, this is a turnaround for the books. Indy Hartwell beat Sol Ruka. Elektra Lopez returned and beat up both. I was a little bit disappointed, Lopez. If I was going to use Elektra Lopez, and I know she wants experience with NXT, but at least to have her appear on SmackDown and, you know, help out Santos if he was going to win. Or, do you know what I mean? Or something like that. I want to keep the story alive, damn it. It's still real to me. I don't know if I can go for it not being Legado.
And I think it gets worse as the coming weeks as she gets a chance to talk. And, like, they kind of hint at her past, but not much at all. They don't really talk about. That's the thing I don't like the most about it. It's like we were introduced to her through Legado, and you won't even explain away how she's working for herself now. You're just going to say, nope, she's by herself.
Yeah, just get
Tony
D come up to her, hey, man, what I forgot about?
yeah. I think she's going to be fine. And that's about it. pretty much it.
Thanks, Tony.
Okay, Tony, all right.
We see Duke Hudson sucking up to Chase U, and again, this is something that actually becomes interesting. For the next update, the main event, Ilya Dragunov versus Jordan Devlin or McDonagh. This was like NXT UK, really good stuff. Referee had to stop the match as Dragunov passed out from the pain. JD looked like a killer, necessary evil. They called him. Aya had to be stretchered out as well. I mean, again, when they want to book strong in NXT, they can do it.
Oh, yeah.
JD just looked great here.
Yeah, man. He looked like a menace. And again, this is one thing I tell you about how great Ilya is. It doesn't matter if he's going to come back and win it or if he won't, get over the challenge. Kind of like with Volta back in the day. The way he sells and the way he just seems like I said, no one, like, I don't know, like, only thing that brought that rear injury upon him, I thought, was like a spear, right? Don't tell Ilya that, bro. Like, Ilya was selling like he cracked 3 or 4 ribs and just like, anyway, the point is he made JD look, like you said, like a monster. And then, like I said, the psychology of it all with him kind of turning it into like a rear naked, abdominal stretch at the end is just so smart. And again, he just looked vicious. The color, I love that. That's another thing. I'm pretty sure it happened the hard way. It probably wasn't planned, but the blood also made it look even more vicious. So yeah, it was perfect. I really was big on this. And like a lot of the best matches of this batch of episodes gave me that NXT UK vibe.
Well, and again, this is like, talk about Ilya, just so visceral in everything he does. It's just like him versus Moxley, and it would just be red.
Yes. Oh my God, covered and just very painful.
So it'll be interesting to see, like we say, how the NXT UK guys get along. They're doing all right at the moment. They're kind of blended in quite well. But this being there is wrestlers being released, and it was announced that Bodie Hayward, Sloane Jacobs, Erica Yan, Damaris Griffin, and Ruth Fang have been released. Of course, the only one that we really knew was Bodie Hayward, who again cursed him by saying, "I quite liked him basing himself off Lex Luger. It would work." It didn't. RJ Chase thanked Bodie Hayward for his dedication to Chase U. But again, another one bites the dust. But with the amount of talent, I can understand, letting him grow and develop. But I think for Bodie, maybe something else was there. And there's been no other stories. But even the way he kind of reacted seemed a little bit more to it. Yeah,
it might be. Yeah, exactly. Because, some of those other names, I'm not saying I know anything, but I'm just saying you can assume with the imposed deadline that they've been reporting for weeks, that maybe some of those people were people that they didn't think improved enough from however long they got in the contract. I don't necessarily think that was the case for Bodie. So it's just like, what was it? It definitely seemed a little bit deeper. But again, I honestly, at first, until I looked it up for myself, I thought he was just missing. And like I said, so maybe this is the part of the Duke angle. Duke attacked him, and in that parking lot somewhere, we'll find the footage later or something. But then I looked it up and was like, man, it's been like 5 episodes. I haven't seen Bodie. They don't even mention him anymore. It's like, he's released.
Unless he really got into the Lex Luger gimmick. That's the only.
That's a good point.
It's like, Bodie. Anyway, we move on. November 1st, and Pretty Deadly, yes, boy, interrupt from Breaker. It's a challenge from Breaker and Wesley. Well, that's our main event. And then R-Truth versus Grayson Waller. Truth went for a somersault, but got his foot caught on the top rope. His landing was bad.
Yeah.
So the referee called for the match. They showed a replay. Not nice to
Which
see.
I hated.
Why? What is wrong with them recently? Like, back in the day, you crowd shot, and now you're fucking replaying it. Like, this is...
Right. Show us Vic and Booker, bro.
R-Truth, this shows why R-Truth should just stick to, like, comedy. Because when he tries that... but then again, all joking aside, it is horrible to see.
Right, it is. And also the thing is, he's been this anomaly anyway, because he's well into his 40s, and he, for the most part, have avoided major, things like that, even though I understand he has been doing mostly comedy over the last 5 or however long years it's been. Actually, it's probably been longer than that, because one of the last few times I could think about Truth being really, really serious was almost a decade ago, it feels like. But anyway, it was still great. I like the idea because, again, I'm one of those people who, not only do I appreciate the comedy R-Truth bring, I remember what he was, in his younger days, and I know he can wrestle. Like, I watched early days Impact, NWA or whatever, so I know what Ron Killings, what R-Truth is about. But, I understand that, sometimes stuff like that, maybe that particular spot, maybe it's time to, retire that part of your career, diving and all of that. But still, it would have been nice to see that match play out. We both know Truth was going to lose anyway, but it still would have been nice to see him just back in a role like that, helping out the young talent, because that's what I'm starting to notice from these main roster cameos. A lot of wrestlers are starting to just, want to come down there and give back. So I thought it would have been it's a perfect spot for someone like Truth in this stage of his career. But yeah, it's definitely sad to see him go down like that.
Yeah, I'd say one of the proudest moments in WNR podcast history is on Twitter when we were mentioning Ron Killings as NWA champion and saying he can play serious, and he actually retweeted and liked it, which again shows you really good guy. One of the WNR podcast favourite wrestlers. But again, it is a shame to see. We then see Kiana James beat Thea Hale. Charlie Dempsey attacked Andre Chase after the bell. There he is. And Duke Hudson made to save. That's Charlie. While making eyes at Hale was Hudson. The Bodie at left field. Bodie actually posted, "What up, Brodies? It's your boy. Just was released from WWE. I'm hurt. I'm embarrassed, and I'm just down bad. For the past 18 months, Andre Chase and wrestling has been my whole life. I'm no stranger to adversity. Adversity is something that's come up my whole life. I've always found a way to get on top. I will do it again." You see, that is not a statement for someone that's just been straight up kind of, I don't know, maybe reading too
bad or whatever.
Maybe. The truth, like I said, but being a wrestling fan for X amount of time, you don't believe anything. You are conspiracy theorists.
100%. You can't trust a damn thing. It's just like, and then another a great example that has nothing to do with anything. Like CM Punk posts these old photos of WWE, and immediately everyone is just this and that. I'm just like, bro, stop it. Just wait until something happens. You don't know anything. Just shut up.
This is the thing. It's like even like the Montreal Screwjob. They go, yeah, it's all fixed. Brett was into it. It's like, hang on a minute. It's like the moon landing in wrestling. We just
right. It's all a plan, Vince, so he can make this content for the documentary and for his own. Like, really? Vince planned to get punched in the face. It was all. I get it. It was dramatic enough, but calm down. But again, that's like it's just who we are as wrestling fans. We don't believe a damn thing.
No, we don't. Well, Odyssey Jones returned to NXT and beat Big Body Harvey. Mandy Rose put herself over during NXT Women's Championship celebration alongside Gigi Dolan and JC Jane. 371 days, and I would never have guessed it. You listened to me when I said if she pins EO, we're never doing an update, and it's like 371 days later.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, you've come around a little bit. Like I said, she's improved. She's coming. The thing that got me about this is like, man, I think WWE proud of what they're doing too. Video package for just because she like, damn, okay, I get it. But all right, whatever. But like I said, I give her the utmost respect, at least for it. When you think about, like you said, she was 100% right. Everyone thought of her the same way. Eye candy, 100%. That's it. And if you think Mandy Rose right now, after all the work they've done over the last 371, like you just said, and before that, if you think that's the same Mandy Rose who was, with Otis, then man, you are missing a lot. I want to say this too. If you just stopped watching WWE for like 3 years, I know you come looking at NXT like, what the Mandy Rose? What the hell? 371. So yeah, no, she's done a great job as far as changing what people thought about her. Even though some people, still doubt her, as they should. She is, like I said, I'm not trying to make it seem like she's top level, but she definitely had one of the greatest women's reigns so far in a while now. So
yeah,
I give her props.
Right, and it is a WWE smugly just saying, yeah, we have long title reigns now. That's what we do.
Exactly.
We don't care about the US title, but every other one.
Everybody else. Has one belt around.
But Mandy Rose, I put respect on her name now. But smoke suddenly erupted. Now before attack Toxic Attraction, she sent Dolan for a table. She promised to win the title in 2 weeks. Well, we know she's good on her promises. Scripps left another foreboding message for the Performance Center. I wonder who that could be. Indy Hartwell beat Zoe Stark. As Hurricane said, what's up with that? But then again, I suppose
it was a story there. It was a story, but I got you.
For Oz Hunger to be in her corner, but Veer McMahon told him to stay in the back. She was seen watching this from behind the couch while she was sleeping. Valentina Feroz lost to Cora Jade. I do miss the old Sanga. Because, how many giants are you could do anything you want.
Right?
I wish I had a Sanga
so
in
positive.
my life. Yeah.
He was sharp. He was positive. It was like he was totally different than what we're used to seeing. I agree. He was way more interesting in that way. Now Veer's like, we're supposed to be foreign, quiet, and angry.
It's like, imagine Sanga in the corner here. It's like, we've got 7 episodes. You guys can do these 7 episodes.
Right.
And it's going to be the best podcast. Do you want a tea? Do you want a drink? No, Sanga, I'm all right. We'll just do the pod. Like I said, I miss him. Main event, NXT Tag Team Championship. Pretty Deadly. Yes, boy. Versus Bron Breakker and Wesley. Brawling with Ethan Prince outside. Carmella Hayes dumped Wesley to the floor, allowing Kit Wilson to steal the pinfall. After the sparring finish, Von fucking Wagner caught Breakker,
of course,
with a big boot. Side plate check. A lot going on after, but Pretty Deadly delivered another great match. Hope they're featured on Deadline. I love Prince selling, but I think Mello did outsell everyone towards the end of this match. Ben, there are pieces there. Bron, good. Pretty Deadly, good. Carmella Hayes, good. It's just Wesley, good. It's just, you know what I mean? It's not all together yet.
Right. Yeah, exactly. 100%. Everyone involved, executed their spot, executed everything the way it's supposed to be. But you know how that goes. We are, again, I think I do love them using Pretty Deadly in this spot too. Even if it is seemingly, if you look at the outcome, it really just set up more storytelling when it comes to contenders, when it comes to Wesley and Bron Breakker's next challenges. But that's what I'm saying. It was a smart way to involve them while also just getting Pretty Deadly on our TV screens, beating another team, by the way, and a team of champions that they can add to their list. They've already bragged they've beaten everyone in the tag division, which, as you can see, if that's the case, that means there's only like 3 teams.
Wait for another team to form.
You got to wait for somebody else to show up. But still, it was a great use of everyone involved, like you said, because they all have things going on. So I did like that element.
Right, we'll move on November 8th, and the Schism starts the show. Hopefully for us, it's the end of the Grimes-Gacy feud. Joe is allowed to wear pants now.
Finally.
You've got to imagine that Vince is like, there is no way in hell that boy is wearing pants. Please, Trips, go on then. I mean, schism on the way up.
See, I was gonna say it was another thing. Ava Raine apparently is responsible for.
Everyone wear pants like my dad. That's.
She shows up and now he's in trunks, like a regular wrestler. That whole sleeveless button up and pants combination got tired really fast, huh?
Oh my God, he is going for the Husky Harris attire.
Right, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. And the obvious lack of help for Grimes led to Gacy winning, or as I call it, he pulled a McIntyre. I hate to say this as well, but Grimes has outstayed his welcome in NXT. When you go back for the LA Knight feud, how hot he was, and the terrible kind of North American title reign and how all that happened, it's just like, what they do, it makes you think he's going to be the next round of releases if he's not called up sooner or later.
I was just about to say that either the next round of that or the next round of becoming a free agent, or the next round of being on Raw and SmackDown. And you're 100% right. I feel like if you would have pulled the trigger on Grimes around that time, post LA Knight feud, he may, who knows what kind of pop. It may not have been the immediate knowledge of him pop, but he would have had way much more to build off of because of all that momentum he had at the time. But like you said, they've done so much over the last few months of just trying to kind of undercut and now it's to the point to where, other than advancing the story for other characters, what is Grimes' role? Like, we've seen him against the Braun Breaker. We've seen him, like you just mentioned, fail really to deliver as the North American champion. So you don't really necessarily want him to rehash that. Like, what's next for him? Do he just form a random team and try to go after Pretty Deadly? Like, seriously, what else in NXT is there for him to do? A lot of the people that we can associate Cameron Grimes with, like you said, LA Knight. What I was just about to say, LA Knight and Dexter Lumis. Yeah, there you go, Dexter Lumis. So everyone you associate a lot of his strongest moments, pretty much, are already called up. So it's like, which one is it? Are you going to pull the trigger and take a chance on him, which I think me and you both know, if he's given a chance to just do what he does, he can shine. But are they not confident in it? Do they not like the character work? Do they not believe in him, in some way, shape, or form? It's only time will tell, but yeah, I agree 100%. It's kind of crazy when you think about just how positive me and you both were on the work Cameron Grimes was doing, and then it just seems like over the last 6 months or however long it's actually been, they've done whatever they can to just turn that momentum to the point now he's not even. Was he even mentioned when they were talking about building up this Iron Survivor, which we'll get into? Like, I don't even know if they mentioned him in the Legends table thing or whatever, but we'll talk about it. The point is, I'm with you, man. Grimes is definitely falling from grace, and it's really tough to watch because I think he is a top-tier talent, especially with his work.
Yeah, I think without a shadow of a doubt, it was interesting to see what happens with him. We had Elektra Lopez beat Sol Ruka. Indy attacked after and is apparently doing things her way now. Alba Fire pulled up on JC Jane in a nearby mall and attacked her during a video call with Mandy Rose. Andre Chase versus Charlie Dempsey. Dempsey wrestled Chase to the mat with an arm trap submission, transitioned into a crossface. Duke Hudson threw in a towel for his mentor. Vic said Dempsey has a regal style, which again, good work from Vic, but the story kind of with Duke, was he protecting Chase or was he trying to get one over in him? It's very, very interesting. Chatham Stacks Lorenzo beat Hank Walker. We see the Grayson Waller effect and the host antagonizing Bron Breakker, but the NXT champ was focused on Von Wagner. Two men stood face to face and Breakker knocked out Mr. Stone for trying to get involved. Just put us out of a misery, Even the best thing Booker T and Grayson said is Von is tall. That's the best that they could come up with.
Bro, I wondered, did you notice that? Did you notice that was literally word for word almost similar to what you did one time when you said, I don't know if it was this show or it was a joint show, you asked me to say one nice thing about Von Wagner. And the only thing I could think of was that he was tall. And the fact that Booker T, someone who knows this business, someone whose job it is to put over heel so far, he's supposed to be putting over Von Wagner. And the only thing he can think of is, he's a big guy.
Yeah. You just can't believe it. And it's the first time Wagner mentioned his dad, Wayne Bloom. If anybody doesn't
By the
know.
way, very Googled after that. The first time, if you really look up, you can look up it now. Von Wagner's dad is what popped up. A lot of people were searching who his father was after he mentioned it.
Well, the thing is about you can't compare the Steiners to the Bevan brothers. Like,
come on, bro. It's not fair.
All I can remember is they faced the Bush 92. That's kind of their biggest achievement.
Yeah.
But then
Come
again, fair play.
He's like, I didn't use my father's name. And it's like, well,
yeah, it's not.
Don't make me say it.
It's like, who's your dad? Gene Snitsky. Oh, right.
Guy who kicked a baby across the arena.
I don't kick babies, but, my dad taught me a lot of stuff about but we move on.
Hope you brush your teeth. Man, they had bad gimmicks.
God, his feet, wasn't it? Yeah, feet, bad teeth, kicking baby. Why did he not make it? Like,
right. He could have been a star. What happened?
Him and Heidenreich, like, missed opportunities. They really are. Well, we got Jordan Devlin versus A-Kid, the complete opposite of those two wrestlers.
Yes.
JD twisted the left knee of Axiom. It popped. Despite Axion's refusal to quit, referee stopped the match, and this even warned everyone on the roster to get on his level, including Apollo Crews. I've not seen an Irish whip into a backside by A-Kid, as we saw here, but top quality. NXT UK lives again, but JD just keeps snapping and cracking.
Yes, I love it. You know what? It reminds me of the wrestling I grew up with. That viciousness of trying to hurt people is something that, like, maybe now, I guess modern wise, Randy Orton was kind of the one who did most of it, or a lot of it, the last decade or so. But when I was growing up, like in the mid 2000s or whatever, everyone knows Edge, Triple H, all those guys had that notch to where it's like, we can beat you, but no, we want to hurt you. And that is the thing that JD is he is centering himself on that and being the guy who's going to take guys out to get what he wants. And I don't know, it's very simple stuff, and I like it. I really, really like it. And I told you this once before. He plays an asshole or a dick, however you want to describe him. He plays that too perfectly. So it's like he's one of those guys we would never see the Irish Ace as a babyface. He's so good at doing this. And then you get him in there with a guy like A-Kid who's able to do so much. And I just want to give Sean and everyone their props. They stopped showing the little stupid vignettes and talking about mouths, and they kind of just let him be A-Kid with a mask. And I think if you notice, he's starting to get more and more over with the crowd there because they're just letting him wrestle and be, like I said, A-Kid with a mask instead of doing all those weird equations and all that other stuff that didn't really make a lot of sense. That's fine, but let him be himself, even though you had to put him in a mask. I like that. I got to give him props for that. But this like you said, this is fantastic stuff.
Yeah. Damon Kemp had to fight Brutus for 5 minutes because he lost to Julius. Brutus got his hands on a steel chair and smacked Kemp back with it, causing him to be disqualified. Payback is a Brutus. After the match was over, Brutus got the next Kemp with the chair. Sangha and Veer Mahan appeared on the stage to stare down the Creed brothers. I don't mind Brutus and Julius. Like, I know they're not there yet, but this is exactly what developmental is for,
Yeah, I agree. Same thing with Damon, and everyone. Yeah, I think everyone involved here could use seasoning here. So I agree with you. But at the end of the day, I do think it comes. Now I wonder though, is this how this ends, or are they done with Damon now? You just hit him in the back once or twice, or wasn't it with just one character? I think he did not lay into it enough when you think about what Damon said and was doing. But whatever. It was fine though. I agree with you, and it was fine.
Yeah. Well, we get the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship: Chance and Carter versus Nikita Lyons, perverts, and Zoe Stark. Chance and Carter had an answer at every stage of this match. After the champions took out Lyons, they hit the neckbreaker 450 splash to win. Afterwards, Zoe Stark attacked Lyons, laying out with a running knee. Now,
couldn't even wait till the next week.
What the fuck? Like, all women in AEW love each other. and every
Yeah.
woman in NXT
NXT
hates each other.
hate each other.
Like, there is no
Yeah.
tag teams in NXT because they keep turning on each other. Like,
Roxanne and Wendy are literally the only two faces at this point almost that stands alone. That's not the champions. At this point, like everyone else has I guess Nikita count too now, but yeah, everyone else pretty much has turned their backs on someone.
It's like, if you look at the history of the NXT Women's Tag Division, like Gonzalez and Kai. It's just like,
that turned out.
Any team, apart from Toxic Attraction at this moment in time, is kind of cursed.
It's funny, they keep saying they're the most decorated team, and I'm like, well, they're all the ones who haven't turned on each other. So it makes sense.
I just don't understand what. But then again, I understand it's an easy way to build a story, but when it's so close to what Rox and Jade are doing, come up with something else.
Very similar, and they don't even have the history of it. I mean, they were friends through Zoe's injury, I guess. Yeah. So yeah, they don't. But it's very similar. It's very similar stuff. As a matter of fact, now that you mention that story, it's also similar kind of to Tony and and Jamie's story in AEW. Like, friends, and then things change automatically. But at least we'll get into it next week. But Zoe Stark tried to explain it a little bit for us.
But this is the thing, isn't it? It's like, you get the Ciampa and Gargano story. I know it's men's, but like the partners finally having enough, and then it's like okay, well, Rox and Jade, well, they knew each other since they were teenagers. Hate and Storm, well, they lived together. Oh, what about Starks and Lions? Well, they teamed for 2 weeks. Like, you're honestly going to get a team form at the start of a show and break up at the end. Because it'd be like, why do you like him? I got tired in those 2 hours. That hour I had to spend with them was just too much.
I forgot her partner, but Valentina Feroz, I don't watch out. I forgot her partner's name right now, but when she comes back, they lose one tag title match. It's over.
That's all it takes. We move on to November 15th. NXT title match starts us off. Bron Breakker versus Von fucking Wagner. Luckily for us, Bron retained with a spear, and JD confronted Breakker backstage, telling him they're not done. So we've got Von Wagner as a legitimate threat done and over. Looks like JD's back in the picture. Good news all round.
Yeah, sounds great. Glad we got this out of the way. Unfortunately, they thought any of us wanted to see. As a matter of fact, if you watch the end of this match, the adulation across everyone in that arena, he was just so widespread. No one wants Von Wagner to win the championship. I saw this one guy, though. This one guy, every time Von Wagner did a move, this one guy in the crowd was very, very excited, and I just want to let that guy know, you were alone. So he's literally one guy. I didn't see anyone else happy about anything Von Wagner did. I give Von Wagner some props, I guess, a little bit. He did, do a couple of things. But the problem with Von Wagner is that the nicest things he do is stuff I've seen other people do better. That's my problem with Von Wagner. Like, he chokeslammed him on the steps, and Von Wagner does that in such a fashion where I'm like, yeah, it was nice, but he did it.
This is what I'm saying. There's just nothing from that. I'll go into detail a little bit in a minute, but there's just, even when he hit his finisher, the fans didn't care. Like, they knew this wasn't gonna. There was no way Bron.
No one bought in. Like, exactly, lose. He put Bron through hell for a little bit there, and no one bought in.
Zoe Stark told the world she was done supporting anyone else, especially the Keita Lions, perverts. She called herself undeniable and a problem for everyone in the locker room. Yeah, I suppose that makes sense, Zoe, because you have been around for a year. You're a rookie last year, got injured for a year,
right?
But it makes sense.
And she was so insulted that Nikita was like, "I don't blame you for not being medically clear." When it's like, well, she was just so insulted, like she's just so much more tenure. Like, you got the nerve to tell me that. It's like, Zoe, calm down. You guys probably got 6 months of difference when it comes to to get it out of the performance center. Like, what are you doing?
Coming from a woman who jumped on the back of EO to make her worthwhile.
Right. Come on, bro. You literally did the same thing.
Indusher destroyed 2 jobbers. NXT have had great success with Monsters teams, going back to Authors of Pain or, even Sanity.
Yeah. Ascension.
Don't
get the Ascension.
It's just when they get to the main roster. That's the only issue.
That's the problem.
But let's veer away from Evil Foreigners. Yeah? I know there was something there for people. But again, Evil Foreigners does not work at this time.
I agree. They don't even have to be like you already have shown us that song does not have to be this way. So like that's nice the worst part about it. Yeah, song don't have to be this way. And then you saw the way the people was loving Veer for no. Veer has literally got 7 million views on his debut.
It's in the top 5 most watched videos this
year. Yes, that's insane. Like they don't have to go back to just being. Like you just mentioned, random, angry foreign heels. Like they can do more, but we'll see. Hopefully, I doubt they're going to give it a switch. I think it's one of those things. Like, we have Veer back, we have Sonya here. Let's just go back and do share. We never really finished what we were trying to do with that anyway. It's kind of lazy to me. That's what it is. It's lazy.
Well, you would think Apollo would avoid JD with his, history of bleeding orifices and appendages, but somehow managed to survive, get the win against McDonough, which makes him next in line, and Braun stared him down to prove it.
Right.
So that's I mean, we've got proof. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Booker T kept ordering the contract signed and made sure Wesley, Hayes and Trick Williams stayed contained. Even after deal was signed, he made it clear there would be no action until next week. Mello had a fantastic line saying that Lee's best was only Mello's start. Mello don't miss, and you were on that train straight away. I jumped on it after a few stops.
Yeah. You had to make sure it was, stay on the rear. I get it.
I lost a lot of talent during that time.
It's like, they're gonna mess this up. I get it. I was on it though, like you said, from during the breakout tournaments when I really started to see it. Oh yeah, never mind. This guy, he already has a formula that I like, so he can only get better, and that's what he's done. Just improve. He had another great line, like saying, "I will first 48 you in front of all these witnesses, and nobody will do a thing." And I was just like, he's just so cold blooded. I love it. Him and also, by the way, another guy who he may not have it all in the ring, but Trick, when it comes to these segments or just his character work, it's funny. Usually you get the ring down first, and you have trouble with your talking and character work. But he obviously went the reverse route, and he added something to this stuff too, even with having Wesley having to shut him up and the facial expressions he was making. So I like this segment all around, even with Booker T being the peacekeeper. It made me think that all of it takes for people not to fight at contract signing is Booker T to tell them not to. We need him in every contract signing, right?
Yeah, well, that's how, like, the way he kept business. But like you mentioned with Trick, he needs to be by Hayes' side for a good, not a few years maybe, but don't let them turn on NXT. If they come up to the main roster, have them together, because like I said, they click so well. And again, not comparing Hayes to Shawn Michaels, but the Shawn Michaels Diesel dynamic of you're not a good worker, but he's a cool guy standing behind the champ, and you can imagine Hayes as Intercontinental US champion, whatever it is, with that going on. Like I said, really good stuff. The Dyad defeated Jensen, at least lost. And then Michaels announced NXT Deadline will feature a brand new match in which 5 wrestlers will face off in men's and women's Iron Survivor Challenge matches. The winner will be the one to score the most falls in 25 minutes. But don't forget, if you just get pinned, you've got the dreaded penalty box. This is just like, we've taken War Games, just make something up.
Just make something else up. Right. Iron Man Championship Scramble is what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like. It's one thing I gotta ask you. Please tell me you understand this. So they come in every 5 minutes, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So, but it's 25 minutes in total on the.
No,
so if you last, or you just screwed? Like,
15.
how does this work?
Yeah, hang on a minute. So the two competitors will start. So that would be 15 minutes. So the last last person's going to have
Gotcha.
10.
So you got 10 minutes left when you last.
Yeah.
There you go. That's what was confusing me the other day. I was like, hold on. My math off? But I forgot two people started without having to wait. Okay, gotcha. Great point. All right, we're done. Confusing stuff. I'm just ready to see. This is what I want to say about this. This is one of those things that when he was talking about it, I couldn't visualize it. So I'm like, after I watch it, maybe it'll make sense. Even though I'm pretty sure one or both of these matches will still be a mess in some way.
Oh, fucking hell, yeah. You just like, you leave the competitors, you're thinking, well, that'll be all right to start with, but he's going to fuck it up. Or
something is going to fuck up.
Why not just use a scramble, like you said? But I think it's just like a championship scramble, apart from you don't become an interim champion. But again, I don't want to confuse anybody. And then the only difference is if you get pinned, you're in a penalty belt. I'm pretty sure that's like a TNA match as well, where they got like pinned, put in a. But you had to go on. You had to like climb the ladder and put the belt on there. You know what they're like? Like they're the company that had like the reverse battle royal. Like get in the ring. So just that's Impact. We want a silly gimmick. Like, what have you got? And they're like, what about Ultimate X? But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Like we say.
And it just reeks of a match that they were just begging to say, we're going to do something no one's ever done.
First time ever.
So let's just blend it. You're right. Let's just blend things that we have done before. See if it makes sense. Yeah.
A Hell Age Rumble match. That's what we're going to do. Just doesn't make any sense. But like I said, we'll hold out till we find the participants. Indy Hartwell beat Tatum Paxley. So after laughing at Indy, looks like she's being serious and has picked up a few victories on the previous NXTs. Mm-hmm. And with NXT and Diamond Mine's track record, I'm just waiting for Tatum to turn an Ivy. We've talked about it.
Yeah.
We know it's going to happen.
Ivy to turn on all of them. Something, something's going to happen. I agree. With that track record, I wouldn't put it past any of it. Something's got to give.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. Well, the main event, sticking with the women, is the Women's Championship. Last women standing, Mandy Rose versus Alba Fire. Alba Fire finally had Mandy Rose alone and dominated this brutal fight. However, she's a challenger prepared for a senton bomb off a ladder outside. Isla Dawn arrived, missed her, kind of, and sent her through the announce table. Fire was able to get back up, allowing Rose to retain. A shame Alba didn't win. But we love Isla Dawn. Fire did take a good looking bumps here. But like I said, the story was more about Isla making her debut and Mandy Rose continuing to reign.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's all about saving that reign for a couple of more, however long they're going to keep pushing it. And, debuting Isla Dawn on top of the ladder. Very witch-like laughter and the flickering lights. Again, it was awesome to see her. We mentioned all the time in NXT UK how we were, that she was one of the most, especially to work towards the end, man, she was really one of the most compelling women on television consistently. So it'd be definitely nice to see what she's going to do now that she's probably now going to be full-time NXT, like a lot of the other NXT UK people. But honestly, the only thing I don't like about it is it's shocking, and as great as it was to see her, the explanation for doing any of it is just like, I guess because she's so out there, you don't need one. And I guess that's kind of how they went about it. But it just still kind of felt very, very random. So besides being happy to see her, the randomness of it all was not lost on me. But I did, like I said, like you mentioned, they did work really, really hard. Thing that kind of took away from the entire match overall is that not for 1 second did I think Alba was gonna win it, even with all the odds in her favor. It's just this, they've done this before with Mandy, where she's alone and it seems like things are not gonna go her way, and she still finds a way. So, but it was still fun riding, like you said. Very awesome to see Isla Dawn here, and her and Alba Fire should be a fun time. So I was looking forward to that.
November 22nd, Toxic Attraction, boring promo to start. Cora Jade beat Wendy Chu after hitting her with a drink. Did the referee think Wendy shit and or pissed herself? That is my only assumption. Match. How did he not notice it? Did he just go, "Yep, she had an accident"?
Yeah, it's a great point. It's a great point.
I don't know. Apollo Crews was nicking Gina's gimmick, looking into the future. Speaking of future endeavoured Kiana James, lost to Ivy Nile. The Creed brothers celebrated with Nile, called out Indus Sher for Deadline. Nile was not happy about that. And another thing, it's weird. Amateur wrestlers going into professional wrestlers equals lisps. I think Kurt Angle's the only one without a lisp. True. You know, all of the others.
That's a good point.
Yeah, thanks to look forward. So Isla Dawn said the Voices called her to Alba Fire. I'll take that. After weeks of outright threats to NXT, the Performance Center, Scripps debuted. Oh boy, we thought Axiom's mask was. I mean, we did.
The most meaningless mask ever.
I mean, it was Reggie. It's Reggie.
That. You know what the worst part is? He came out and did his little roll flip or whatever, and I immediately knew it's like he did before he put his face dead in the camera. I knew it was. Then he's writing. What is the right? What does that matter? Why is he writing in the air? Why is that his taunt?
Honestly, it has to be a rib on him. Like there is no other way. If this gets over, then I
agree.
It's just he beat Guru Raj, but bloody hell. Charlie Dempsey questioned the Jitsme of the locker room, putting over his old school professional wrestling focus. Like it.
Made a lot of good points too.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. But when he said, "Don't matter." So Stark beat Sol Ruka. Nikita Lyons, perverts, came out afterwards to fight Stark and sent her reeling. NXT Tag Team Championship, Pretty Deadly, yes boy, versus Andre Chase and Duke Hudson. Chase took a beating in this match, setting up Duke for the hot tag. However, Hudson accidentally big booted Chase and kitted Elton took advantage to hit spilt milk on Chase for the win. Deadly are bringing their A game. Hudson actually working with Chase, but was it intentional, Monty? Was it intentional?
I mean, I'm gonna say because he literally basically confirmed it almost the next week. But we'll say my also.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Yeah, no.
Main event: NXT North American Championship. Wesley versus Carmelo Hayes. Lee earlier tricked Williams into letting Melo go it alone. Hayes brought his best in this match, but it was not enough. The NXT North American Champ had an answer for everything, hitting a handspring back kick into a Michinoku driver for a victory. And then the animation for a jail cell opening showed on stage screen. Lee turned around to see the former T-Bar, now returned to his old name, Dijak. He planted the champ, feast your eyes. As this match is NXT Match of the Year candidate, without a doubt. Neither put a foot wrong. I like the trousers for Melo as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Love the new gear, man. It was nice. It was nice switch up. And he does it like kind of like when he was still champion. As you can see, whenever he has a big match, he steps it up and try. And he makes again. It's kind of like we say about Swerve and other guys. When you really have that star power, you can draw someone to know, oh, this is important, and that's what Melo does. When Melo comes out and he has the thing when it comes to whatever he's going to put on the Tron, or when he has his gear on, you know that okay, big time stuff is about to happen. And like you mentioned, even with Wes Lee being able to come over to Boulder in his entrance and kind of having a little bit, it felt like something that should have probably been on a takeover with the presentation of it. And then like you said, just let them go in there and just show everyone what they can do. Just two awesome athletes. And I love Wesley picking up the victory because again, so because of what happened to Cameron Grimes, Melo has always kind of had this whole thing of where he's still the champion even without the belt. And I think this is a great way, giving Wesley a definitive victory as champion. And he took out, Trick, who tried to come out later on. So again, it was definitive. It was a great way to just cap off everything that Wesley and Carmelo has had going on with each other. And man, it also, again, Melo did not look bad in defeat. So it was just great.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Melo's effortless on the ropes, and Lee was literally clawing his way back into the match, like on the mat. It was great. We've been a fan of him for a long time. Let's hope he has a great reign. But like I said, with Dijak showing up, maybe not that long. And yeah, Melo definitely needs gold in the future as well. We'll move on. November 29th, Roxanne Perez beat Indy Hartwell. And just like that, Indy had a good match. Give Rox the belt now. Just give it her. If she can get a good match from Indy, take it.
Yeah, and like, again, I don't know if it was because they both was in front of Booker T, where they kind of, all trained at. Both, kind of had time training it. I don't know what it was, but yeah, it's just the chemistry and everything. The time that Indy was given here, I thought it was a really, really competitive contest. And it's funny, we kind of singled her out. I don't know if that was the last batch of reviews where we kind of like, man, Indy's going to have to step it up or whatever. And it seems like now, especially when you give her that type of match, it maybe finally Indy can match up with her popularity. Because, people love Indy. But as far as like her work and as far as her success, me and you both have pointed out that she's definitely been lacking. But yeah, I agree. Roxy, as you can see, prodigy, like we mentioned. She's a prodigy. And like, if you can get matches out of people who were struggling to be consistent like that already, again, like we always marvel at her age, 21, man, the future is just too bright to even look. You can't even look forward for Roxy. The future is that bright for her.
Without a doubt. Dijak avoid Dante Chen. He then cut a promo afterwards for Neville. He would bring pain to NXT Safe Haven. You can honestly call him Bron's older brother, and people would buy it. Like, I mean, is it racist, Monty, to say all white people the same? But honestly, that they could be the Steiner Brothers 2.0. I mean, they could be twins.
Yeah. The funny thing about that is also, I don't know, not only do they look like, especially with the deep tan that everyone gets down there, they also, the only thing that would mess them up as a team is the fact that every time Dijak talks, he has to go into Terminator mode for something. Like, oh my goodness, look at all that bass and aggressiveness. But now, again, you don't want to look like Dijak and then, sound unimposing, so I get it, but still, yeah, but no, you're right. They actually favor each other a little bit too well. It's kind of it's weird. Maybe it's the haircut, but yeah,
it's a dye job, isn't it? It's whatever color. They are both using the same color hair dye.
Now that's true. Exactly.
Duke Hudson faced Grayson Waller, and he struggled to keep himself composed in this match. Hudson also booted via Hale, who was at ringside, but stopped himself just short. Chase questioned how Hudson stopped himself this time and found him last week. Didn't help that Duke was saying, I can stop anytime. Anytime.
Anytime. No, don't worry, I can pull back anytime. Really?
The distractions led to Grayson Waller picking up the win, but like, I think I know what's going on now.
No. If you want to ask me that question again early, I think he pretty much just confirmed with that boot on purpose. But yeah, I also want to point out that, again, like I say, as cool as that finisher may look at what Grayson Waller needs to set up that finisher so he can get out of the ring again and surprise you. I'm always talk about it. It's so funny how he slips out of the other side off camera. It looks cool out of nowhere, but it's still like he's going to always have to win by distraction. Damn it.
Yeah. That's what it should be called, to finish it, like winner by distraction. But,
right.
We see Kiana James beat Fallon Henley. Lyra Valkyrie is coming. Yeah, the former, the woman with the most difficult name, Ether, or spelled Aofi. I'm surprised they changed it.
Yeah, I can't believe it, man.
Weird.
It's
But
so catchy. Such a,
but she is coming to NXT. Action return to beat Harvey Barnell. Big Body Harvey has something, because he was quite funny. He was listing off the wrestlers that were injured. He was saying he didn't want to take part in it. But is it enough? Am I going to start getting invested in him only to be released in a couple of months?
Right. Right. And like, it makes you wonder, especially when you come in already with the comedy thing, it makes me wonder, like, are the people booking this already laughing at you and don't take you seriously enough, and that's why you're in this line? Or you just really talented, but you just so happen to be very funny too, so they wanted to use that side of you. It's always that trickiness whenever someone is kind of meant to make you laugh so far. But I definitely saw flashes of potential, though, especially in the ring with a guy like Axiom. So we'll have to give it time with Javi. But I agree with you. I like so far what he's been doing as far as a character goes. He's been entertaining. Whenever he has a little promo, I stop to listen.
Yeah.
So I can, get the little gags, and I think that's a good sign so far.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, Pretty Deadly, yes, boy, have a Christmas story for us. Yay! But we have to wait till next week. Boo. Apollo Crews and Bron had breakfast. Nice. JD versus Julius Creed. Sanger and Veer arrived to watch the match closely. JD was more interested in hurting Julius than winning. The Irishman sprang at Julius with a steel chair, but Sanger pushed the Creed brother out of the way. He's still a nice guy. This caused a DQ. Afterwards, Indisper explained they wanted the Creed brothers at 100% for
100%.
NXT Deadline. Yeah, 100%. Von fucking Wagner beat Malik Blade. How has he regressed? I mean, we've mentioned Von Wagner, but like, he just couldn't do anything right here. Is he smiling?
Oh.
Is he angry? Like, what's going on? I don't understand. Can't even hit a clothesline.
Oh. Yeah, this was rough. This was really, really rough, specifically when this is literally put here to give him his heat back. Everybody knows why they're doing this. We're doing this because he just lost the title match, and he got to, show everyone he's still Von Wagner or whatever. But unfortunately, he showed everyone he's still Von Wagner. And yeah, I agree. I don't understand how someone can be featured so heavily and forced down our throats, and like you said, still makes those mistakes. And again, I understand. I think I heard this this is a perfect opportunity for me to use this. It's gonna sound harsh, but it's not, I promise you. It's a joke, but it's not a joke. Anyway, MJF said in an interview that he really gets mad when people talk about, say, a match is not good or whatever, because of the risk that wrestlers do, and they put up they're risking their life all the time to do anything in the ring with us is a risk. And I get that, and I do want to acknowledge that I understand that. But damn, when it's Von Wagner, it's hard.
the only risk Von Wagner takes is on other people's lives, like
exactly.
surviving watching him. Like,
he's almost dropping Malik on his head. It's like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's probably more dangerous to others than himself right now. But yeah. Anyway.
Well, the suicide rate has gone up during his matches. Like,
oh God.
Tuesday's like spiking at his. I'm sure he's a lovely guy.
Yeah. Great guy.
It's like, what's frustrating though, and I think people listen to this, but what frustrating is that the guy has everything, and this is the thing.
Right.
If I was built like Von Wagner, I would be a wrestler, and I would be doing it right. If you want a monster, be a monster. Don't go off your feet. Use power moves, Be angry.
Exactly.
Snarl. If you're going to smile in the kind of... JD is a perfect guy with that kind of glare and glint in his eye and smile of want to hurt you. That's what Von Wagner should be. Not this just kind of floaty bloke. I can't explain.
Yeah.
And
then, like you mentioned, everything about him is still generic too. Like they had plenty of time to give him a something, a phrase, something he's known for. I mean, nothing. He's still, all of the times he's thrown people through over announce tables and all this type of stuff he was doing, they still cannot manage to give him anything for someone to latch on to. That's another thing.
He shut NXT UK down, when he came over the rest.
That's a good point. Yeah, he come over and now instead of, continuing to trade talent, they're just, we're just going to close this all down. No, nothing.
Burn it. We're going to have to burn it. It's got the Von Wagner touch. Just burn everything. Just, 2.0, burn it. Just anything.
Briggs and Jensen tag champions? Yeah, you got to get rid of this.
That is what the end of days looks like. But we then move on, of course, and we see after consulting X-Pac, Road Dogg, Alundra Blaze and Molly Holly, may I say, Blaze and Holly are looking great. Shawn Michaels came to a choice on the 4 best men and women for the NXT Iron Survivor Challenge. For the men, Kamala Hayes, Grayson Waller, JD McDonough and Joe Gacy get the first 4 spots. Von fucking Wagner,
no good guy.
Andre Chase would face off for the final place. It's a bit. It's like, which way are you going with this? I wonder if And then on the women's side, Cora Jade, Roxanne Perez, Zoe Stark, and Kiana James were named. Indy Hartwell, Wendy Chun, fell and had a fight next week. It was presented well, even though the segments were well too long. But how the fuck did James get in? Is something going on with
I'm about to say, if I'm Indy and Wendy, I'm like, what the hell? Seriously? Indy and Wendy Chun literally got to earn this. But Kiana can just walk in, she's proven everything they need to see. Am I missing? Am I missing something?
Like I said, it's crazy, really, when you think about it. But like I said, maybe we're missing something.
Yeah,
maybe
I guess so.
She'll put on a hell of a performance, But speaking of hell of a performance, Toxic Attraction versus Nikita Lyons, Perverts, and Katana Chance and Caden Carter. Earlier night, Zoe Stark injured Nikita Lyons' right knee. After she was cleared to compete, Toxic Attraction took advantage and hit with a high-low combination to win. The high-low was missed. Lyons completely sold for thin air during one point in this match. But the most important thing to remember is the doctors bandage around clothing. So if you ever get injured, the knee pad needed attention, goddamn you. So they bandaged up the knee pad.
I was so mad that they didn't at least try to just take off the knee pad and put it on top of the tape. Anything. Like, come on, bro. Like, you don't understand. It's like everybody know that this knee gonna play a factor now. I guess that's the point, but like, come on, bro. And then that's another thing. They told us earlier she's cleared and it's just a lot of bruises. But Nikita, you can tell Nikita that Nikita couldn't stand without my knee. Are you telling me that's seriously just bruises and she couldn't even stand up?
She got cramp. That was the thing.
Yeah, maybe it got stiff because they wrapped her up so damn tight.
It's like a mummy. Just trying to roll, just can't. This wasn't the best.
No. I got what they were trying to do, but the execution fell flat.
Yeah. We're moving December 6th. It's the last episode, I promise. The Iron Survivor qualifier, Axiom versus Von Wagner versus Andre Chase. Chase popped out both opponents with DDT and planted Von Wagner with a crossbody, but Axiom snuck in with a golden ratio to pin the big man. I am glad for the Axiom. I really am. Like, I'm surprised he won.
Yeah, me too. I was shocked. I actually also was very surprised that they gave Andre Chase, he looked so good. Because, like you said, Andre actually was probably the one who was set to win before that or was about to. But in all honesty, though, anyone but Von Wagner, I think everyone kind of agreed there. So it kind of, and then like I mentioned earlier, 4 bad guys. Go ahead and put Axiom in there. Poor Axiom. Only, as a matter of fact, you'll notice it in the Grayson Waller segment, I believe. But poor Axiom, man. Only one with some morals or, seem to have sympathy for anyone in this match. But I also think that disqualifies him because so right now I think either way it goes, after what happens to Deadline, we'll have a babyface champion. So yeah, but
Well,
hey, good, like you said, great for him. Great for him.
well, speaking of the champion, well, I say the champion, Bron and Apollo know they're fighting, not fucking at Deadline, right? Because these dates are fun for them, but it makes me want to sleep.
Very intimate.
What the fuck is that? Oh, is this like, what about, imagine if they were just about to tie up and instead their eyes, contact across the ring and they just kissed. Just
warm embrace.
That's the main event. And they have Vic Joseph spin that on NXT. Like, that's just what happened. Our love is stronger than the NXT Championship. Just walk away holding hands, leave the title in the middle of the ring. That's what we want.
And it was just so much posturing too. It's just like you keep saying little things, little slick stuff, Apollo, but are you serious about this? You're just sitting here swimming with them. I mean, fishing with them like it's nothing going on here. They kept talking about, big match, time for champion and all of that, and the challenger. And Apollo kept telling us how much he's waited for this, and this is what you get. I only thing that can defend Apollo in this situation is that he's seen the future, so maybe he's like, I don't have to injure him or anything. I'm holding the title in my little future thing I saw. So maybe that's why he's so calm and confident. But when it comes to Braun, I don't understand.
He's like, Braun gets caught in a fishing accident in 3 weeks, so the title's vacated. So I'm all right.
Yeah, I'm good. He won't make the match anyway, so it's fine.
Speaking of not making matches, we see Indusher attack Bryson Montana for his match with Javier Barnell. Big body Harvey suddenly pulled a hamstring to avoid entering the ring. Again, there's no issue with heels looking like idiots or dicks, and this is what Big Body Harvey's doing. Sanga and Veer declined to fight the Creed brothers until they're 100%. And Julius and Brutus were not happy, and officials had to keep away from the big men. Again, this was backstage with the time. Oh, have you checked his leg, Doctor? Yes. What about his ribs? Why, he's struggling breathing, Doctor. You don't notice that. Like, he can't.
Why does it take Ivy to highlight this? I thought you were doing a full-fledged examination checkup or something, but apparently not. Apparently, just you're only doing what they tell you. No wonder Nikita got cleared.
No wonder the doctors are so bad in NXT. Yeah. It's like, well, your hand seems alright. I'm bleeding from the head. Like, yeah, but your finger's fine. No, you're cleared. Remember when Zion Quinn was going to be the next Vince pick guy?
That's a great point.
Not anymore. Tony D's first match in 10 weeks made Quinn look like a jobber. Yeah. Speaking of jobbers, it's Hank. Our Hank got taught a harsh lesson by Charlie Dempsey, who I might say is rocking those Harley Race chops. Booker is a fan, but the best thing of this was Drew Gulak looking on, which I don't use this word a lot, but it's perfect.
Yes, I don't care if it's a tag team, an angle, manager, whatever it is. They, like you said, match made in heaven right there.
Yeah, really good stuff.
I can't wait to see what they do.
Yeah, well, speaking of, we can't wait for Pretty Deadly. Yes, boy, because they told their story of Christmas fun. They question out any tag team could ever challenge him, and quite right. Prince sitting on Kit. I love the cheap heat that gets. It's so fucking simple from these rednecks and whatever it's in the crowd. Like, and another thing,
it's Florida, man.
Speaking of the crowd, and I will bring this up because one guy had like, I hate Apollo Crews and Apollo Crews ringside.
Yes. Like, right? What the hell Apollo do to those three people?
They're racist because that's the only
Great
thing.
Point.
Because if you're white and you're bringing a sign that says you predominantly don't like a black wrestler, I'm sorry, my friend, but it just looks bad, especially when you're cheering on. You know, when it's like, any other wrestler, and it just seems a little bit odd. But again,
very odd.
In the old days, the signs would have been confiscated, but I suppose any reaction. But I don't like it. It's almost the same as like when Prince sitting on Kit, and they go ooh, because it's like, yeah, you'd like it.
Right. Yeah, trust me. And unfortunately, NXT takes place in Florida, and the IQ of Floridians is not notoriously high, especially the people who are paying the free and $15 to $25 ticket price to get it in there. So, yeah, and I 100%. The thing that kind of ticked me off the most about it is like we saw Apollo's segment, the fishing segment. Usually when you bring a sign pertaining to someone, you only lift that sign or have anything to do with that sign when that person is in the ring. At least that's the way I thought it worked. So, like you said, the fact that they're like you're right. Something is there because for you to have that up in a match that has absolutely nothing to do with that man.
You've got, unless Apollo Crews has done something to you in the past, which has created like a blood feud. I just don't.
Didn't sign something, whatever.
I'm sure the guy had another sign saying like Von Wagner was the greatest. So we know what type of person we're dealing with. And I'm looking forward to going to the WNR podcast tour of Florida. That will.
That's a good point.
We'll cancel the tickets. We'll cancel for now. But bulging sacks. Yes, going back to the Christmas, Pretty Deadly bulging sacks, and even they're annoyed that it's not called Sacker. But then the New Day made a shocking arrival to challenge Kit and Dalton at Deadline. They laid out Pretty Deadly and took their titles. Well, at least they gave the champs presents. But I suppose the New Day are used to losing, aren't they? Yes, side plate check after the match. But, mate, like, Pretty Deadly versus New Day.
What? Man.
They actually believe in Pretty Deadly. We might be right.
Yes, like, exactly. Like, Pretty Deadly might actually work out. Like, this might not just be an NXT thing. Might actually could see them, main roster, this time next year. Because, like, let's just be honest, neither tag division isn't necessarily the deepest. And the Usos, come on now, we know the Usos could use plenty of other, like any other actual teams to actually be a fresh challenge. But besides that, yeah, man, this is awesome, man. It was great to see them down there. By the way, those few fans with the Apollo sign, they even had to stand up.
Yeah. They felt embarrassed, didn't they?
They're like, oh, wow, I didn't know this was happening today.
My gosh, I didn't know.
But yeah, those few fans had to get their stuff together, and it was just awesome to see them there. And even though it's very, very similar to like the way they did the Doudrop and Nikki Cross thing of just kind of, the only difference is I don't even think Nikki Cross and Doudrop even showed up at first. At least I don't recall. I don't know if they actually showed up before that and said anything. I could be wrong, but the point is, it's very similar to the way the match came together. But since we are getting mistreated, we are getting, like I said, something that me and you probably didn't know we will ever see when it comes to Pretty Deadly versus the New Day. And, I don't necessarily, and I kind of spoiler alert, don't necessarily see them winning, but the idea of the New Day coming back for the NXT gold, just to have a Triple Crown achievement, especially after so soon of losing their longest reign achievement, it is some compelling stuff to get behind. So I can't wait to see what they do, because I know if you give these two teams time, it's just gonna be a really, really fun time and awesome tag team wrestling.
Yeah, without doubt. And it's, Pretty Deadly have already beaten the Brutes on NXT and building a good resume so far. And the other thing I really like about, like I said, the heels that don't want to be cool. And they can get away with stuff like the Christmas segment and might not work all the time. But the vast majority of dressing up, being goofy and kind of, getting beaten up, as long as they kind of retain their titles, I love those teams. And like I said, I've mentioned before similarities between others, but there is definitely something there for Pretty Deadly. Duke Hudson was not happy about this match, which was Thea Hayer versus Isla Dawn. Again, this was actually done quite well between Duke and Andre, with Andre trying to cheer him on. Yeah, Dawn hit a pair of standing elbow drops for the win after Simon Howell's attempt to rally. Afterwards, Alba Fire attacked Dawn until the officials broke them up. I will say Isla Dawn was made, but again, really like Duke and Chase, because obviously we know what Hudson's endgame is with Chase U now.
Right, exactly. It gave us a little more insight on what's going on with that. And then, like you said, we also kind of dipped, kind of two birds with one stone here with continuing the Alba and the Isla stuff, and also getting Isla's debut into, on camera and getting that going. So that was great, to see. I also want to highlight, too, that whatever Thea Hale, whatever she does to get ready, man, like, I'm not, I would hate to see her on decap. I don't know if she would even be slowed down that much. Like, she really is into it. I give her props too for really whatever role this is, just being the ultimate busybody. She's committed. But I agree with you. I can't, again, another thing I'm kind of looking forward to continuing to see, this dynamic between Andre and Duke.
Yeah, I think about that. And like I said, with Deadline, the way it's shaping up, with Pretty Deadly and New Day, I mean, what a swap that was from from what we were going to get in the show versus the Creeds. Of course, Albert and Dawn as well. It's shaping up good. Malik Blade and Edge Sanofi beat Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen. Enough for those two, really. They have gone downhill since they lost the NXT UK titles, and it's great. And then the Iron Survivor qualifier, Indy Hartwell versus Wendy Chu versus Fallon Henley. Chu caught Fallon with a corner slingshot splash, but Indy threw Chu out and caught Henley with a running forearm to win. I'm not going to argue it's basically the same finish as the men's, but Indy does qualify. And then we see the Grayson Waller effect, the talk heavy segment. Waller finally got annoyed and started a brawl between the guests, and then dived onto the group for making his exit. The others battle it out. The only thing I noticed is, yes, Axiom got told off for his turtleneck, but the other guys were just clashing. Like JD and Waller's shirts were clashing. I know they said to Hayes, but I thought he wasn't too bad. But again, this didn't fill me with excitement, because, like you said, you're not letting the people talk who should have talked. And it's like, well, Waller's not going to win, is he?
Yeah. And that's the thing. And it was like, and you know what? The only thing that made me consider him is that I don't think he's had a shot. But it's like, is that enough to convince you that he needs to win this first time
for tag
ever
team
type
titles,
of thing?
it is, yeah.
Right, exactly. That's a shot. Exactly, that makes sense for the tag titles, not necessarily in this spot. And I agree with you. The segment, I understand again what they were trying to do and all that, and there was some decent lines in here. But again, we've had more than enough of Gacy. We know what Gacy's got to say. We've had more than enough of Waller talking. We know what Mello is all about. You know what I'm saying? And it was kind of, again, we can even, as a matter of fact, you know where JD is going. So it's just like, what did this really do to give you any more insight into where we're going with this match? I think it didn't do any of that. It just was a great way to kind of get us into a brawl. So, again, it was what it was, but we'll see. Maybe I'm a little bit too cautious about this, but it's a new stipulation. Maybe they'll hit it out the park, and we'll be coming here for the review talking about, damn, they really did that. Or we'll do what I think is probably going to happen, which will be like, I see what they were going for, but
yeah. Well, like I said, we're just about to run through the card for NXT Deadline. But before that, we just reviewed 7 episodes. What are your thoughts on NXT since Havoc right up to Deadline?
Okay, so again, the best parts of the NXT right now, in my opinion, are definitely, to me, honestly, this batch of episodes felt like the JD McDonough showcase. Like, it's not bad at all, because every match that he was in advanced the story, and it made sense. It made him look like, again, a menace. And so I did not mind that too much. Again, I think that was the best parts of it for the most part. You're right about Zoe Stark turning in the women's division. It's like, man, we have a lot of the same thing going on, a lot of similarities here. And again, I'm kind of off put on us not, being able to have a women's title match on this card, but I also at least they are moving forward and trying to give us a contender, so I can let that slide. But it's still one of those things. But I kind of understand after what happened with Alba and I love what they're trying to do there. So again, it's a lot of good, but it's also still, you have those the Hank matches, you have the too much Von Wagner, some of the things that that they still have a couple faults. They have some people who may be picking things up, but not necessarily should be given as much camera time. So they still have a lot of those things going on, but at the same time, it's also a lot of positives. So it's kind of a mixed bag here for me in this batch.
Yeah, I would agree there. Like I said, some of when it's good, it's really good, but when it's bad, boy, is it really bad.
Like, it's borderline unwatchable. Exactly. Yeah. Like when it's good, it's some of the best on TV. When it's not, it's not.
Well, this is the thing. When the UK, and again, I'm biased. So when the UK like talent shining through, I'm enjoying it. And when it feels a bit like 2.0, it kind of switch off maybe a little bit. But like I said, the Chase U development has been fun. During this one. And apart from that, like I said, we're at a holding stage, aren't we? We've got our champions, and we're just waiting for the next legitimate challengers. And like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But let's give our predictions for Deadline then and run through the card. Of course, Jaxie have given me their predictions as well, so we can do it. This is the last bonus point on the line. And again, I know you won the WWE Pay-Per-View Prediction League. I got the win on AEW Pay-Per-View Prediction League. Between you and me, I can't believe I did. Especially,
right.
I'm sure Gina and Jaxie liked AEW more than I did. But sometimes it's not about that because you have to take, you have to look at it from a different side. So, but with bonuses, it will be interesting to see what happens. But we'll start the card with the bonus match, I'm going to call it, because this is bonus.
Okay.
To get Pretty Deadly versus the New Day for the tag team titles on a takeover. It's just going to deliver. Like you said, put them in a ring and they will come. And this is another thing, even with Jaxie, who's going to watch this match and will ask me afterwards, who are Pretty Deadly? They're quite good. You know what I mean? But they will show out in this performance. I've no doubt. Look at their track record.
Yes, I 100% agree with you. I cannot wait for them to not only do that, but like you said, mentioning Jackson is a great point because now people who love the New Day or just want to be curious, or some people who I know they could have been like me for a period of time in NXT's history. I used to be one of those people who only really checked for takeovers. But then as the years went by, I started to keep up with it regularly because, again, those takeovers kind of make you want to keep watching, especially the old ones. So I think some of those people who still only just check up for takeovers are going to look at this, see them with the New Day, and maybe if they're not familiar with how good Pretty Deadly is, they will be after this. And I think this is the perfect vehicle. I think Shawn Michaels in his press call mentioned that the New Day asked to, to do this in this situation. They kind of wanted to give back. Xavier has always wanted to come back to NXT. So it's one of those situations. And he did say it's a factor of how long they'll be there. So that does make you consider, like, is he trying to work out a way to work, to keep them there, or is this, whatever. But with their involvement in Ricochet's stuff too, it's kind of like, okay, how important is that involvement, and would that play a factor? Would that even matter? So it does make you wonder. But I think the right thing to do here is for the New Day to put over Pretty Deadly and allow their reign to continue. I think it'd be a great boost for Pretty Deadly, of course, through its nefarious Pretty Deadly like tactics, of course. But I think it'd be a great way to have them some bragging rights, and they can continue to run, keep being by far the best team in NXT. Like, that's the thing; they're like by far. Like, I love, even though they've ruined their names, Grizzly Young Vets are another team that I love watching together, and maybe down the line we can get a schism type of Pretty Deadly thing. Even though I don't know, they're both on the same side of being bad guys, but other than that, I don't really think, I love the Creed Bros. I still think I'll take Pretty Deadly over them easily. So, I think until we're ready to crown the next champions, I think you keep it on Pretty Deadly, and because they're doing a great job carrying that flag for the tag division.
Yeah, like I said, I think that's the right thing to do. And then I can go, yes, boys, side plate check. and have New Day on the list of people they beat, which again, like I said, padding out the resume. So when they go to the main roster, well, they have before, and you've got built-in history to tap back into, and become threats on the main roster. Like I said, it should be great. We'll do this. Another thing I'm worried about is the layout of tonight's show, because obviously we'll start with the Iron Survivor match, but will then they have the Iron Survivor men's as the main event, or will they go NXT title? It depends, because only 2 matches in between. It might feel like, we're just watching the same thing over again, but I'm sure they'll try different things. But the Women's Survivor challenge is Zoe Starks versus Cora Jade versus Roxanne Perez versus Kiana James versus Indy Hartwell. Again, for me, this is pretty easy to make my decision, even though Indy Hartwell has been a bit of a role of late. Of course, we know all about Cora Jade and Zoe Stark. Zoe Stark's got her own problems, so she's not that worried about it. James, if she wins, I quit. As simple as that. So I think the one woman, and we even talked about this on, I think, the last takeover, last update, the woman that's ready to challenge and beat Mandy Rose is Roxanne Perez, I've got to say.
I 100% agree. And I think the last time she had this situation going on, she had this stuff going on with Cora Jade. Now she's, she doesn't have anything to, in my opinion, unless they're going to try to stretch out this indie stuff. I don't think she has any distraction other than, going for that title, being the one to overcome toxic attraction. I think she's definitely the chosen one. I'm not sure exactly if this is a little step too early. Maybe they want to push it to Stand and Deliver. But honestly, I feel like she can earn it now, and they can continue this on through Vengeance into Stand and Deliver because of not only how long Mandy's reign is, but just how the type of story that they can weave if they choose to. I 100% agree with you. No one else, in my opinion, really fits right now. Like you said, Zoe has stuff with Nikita going on that's probably going to keep going. Kiana, even if Fallon don't have anything to do with this, I really doubt that they ever want. You cannot convince me they believe anyone wants to see Mandy Rose versus Kiana James, and I just don't think so.
No.
I really do. Yeah, I really be shocked, man.
I don't mean to laugh. Hey,
you're right, though.
Trying to build that up. We're doing a show. We go, tonight's event, James versus Rose. Fucking hell.
It's just like, yeah. But anyway, like you said, Roxanne is by far the best pick. Indy was the only other person I gave second thought to, because like you said, it's kind of that that role that she's on, and even though she is seeming more heelish, she hasn't really all the way turned, maybe, but she has been a little bit more vicious. So I think again, Randy Rose fighting these heels, I don't think any of us want to see that. Let's just give her a match with Roxanne, and I think that's the next logical step that makes sense in the women's division.
Yeah, I will say all 4 of us went for Pretty Deadly. With this one here, Jaxie went for Cora Jade, and Gina went Rox, the same as us. Of course, they haven't got the advantage to watching NXT kind of week in, week out, so it'll be interesting. The men's Iron Survivor Challenge is Carmella Hayes versus JD McDonough versus Joe Gacy, Grayson Waller, and Axiom. Gina's gone Grayson Waller. Jaxie went for the same as I did. And I'm interested to hear what you say. I'll give my pick first, but this is one of those where I'm either going with my head or going with my Monty. Because, there's a guy who I want to win, and it makes all the sense in the world to win, but I can't go. You know what I'm like with NXT UK talent. I'm going to go. Uh-huh. I'm going to go. So my pick to win is JD McDonough. I know he's had chances before, but I can't not.
Bro, you don't understand. Again, I told you this. In the last 7 weeks, JD just screams that he's the one. And it's just really tough. You're 100% right. You know exactly where my problem was. Yes, I gave Waller some consideration because, again, like I told you earlier, never had one. But like I said, that's it. Melo actually has tenure, and I think a lot of people already realize that it's time for for Braun Breaker and Melo to at least butt heads at some point. But honestly, I'm gonna stick with, instead of going with who I believe in more than anybody in Melo, I'm gonna be the same as you. It kind of seems like I'm funking out, but I'm just with you, man. JD left that type of impression. I mentioned after that triple threat match with Ilya that the way they portrayed JD will be a legit contender. And I think if he wins this match, I'm not sure how, by hook or by crook, hurting someone. I don't know, maybe tear Axiom's arm off. Something's gonna
just takes his arm off, hits Casey over the head with it.
Right, like something like that, right? Something vicious gonna happen. And I think that JD is probably gonna be a next contender. And if I'm lucky, they can finish whatever they have to do, and do it in Vengeance Day, and we can set up for Stand and Deliver Melo versus Braun for the very first time. And I think that's how we should do that. And that's what I'm hoping goes. But I could be wrong. They could just go straight for Melo right now. But I think JD is who you do for right now, getting us through these next few months, and then heading into Stand and Deliver. It's time for Melo versus Braun Breaker.
Yeah, excuse me about that. I completely agree with you there. Right, so the one match that I'm struggling with, and this is why I've left it to this point, is Alba Fire versus Isla Dawn. So I want to know your thoughts on this first before I make a decision. Because it could change what I think. Because, you've got Fire out for revenge, but you've got Dawn debut. So you've got...
Exactly. So it's like... Because, I understand wanting to give Alba that win because, getting her, some heat back, things haven't necessarily went her way. She's made some promises that she wasn't able to keep. So I really can't understand it, but it's just really hard for me to believe that since this is Isla's kind of like re-debut and possibly debut in front of many eyes for the first time on this platform, with probably the time that she's going to be given to go in there with Alba, I think it's a great showcase. I think it's a great chance to showcase what makes Isla great, especially within someone in someone like an Alba Fire. So I'm gonna go with Isla Dawn. It was a tough one. I'm with you. It's really, really tough to think about it, but it's really hard for me to go against a debuting or kind of like a re-debut, re-return type of thing. So. I'm gonna say the witch wins, and it's gonna probably be something weird, something. At least this the way I would do it. I would book her and showcase some of that supernaturalness we kind of got to know about.
You can see Fire. If this was no DQ match, it would be Fire straight away because anything goes, retribution and all this lot. But the fact remains is that all she needs is lose her temper, bring in the baseball bat. Referee goes to put it away. Turns into the mist. Job done.
Right.
Job
done. And she takes a lock of hair so they can probably keep it going.
Well, it would be, if we can see Isla Dawn's box again, that would be great. It's been a while.
Definitely.
But because you've gone Isla Dawn, I will go Alba Fire. Go on. Just to...
Fair play.
So we're not the same. So I think Fire, even though I don't think she's going to win, but I've gone Braun. So, you know what I mean? I never go Braun.
Right.
So Alba Fire. So, fuck it. We've all gone different. We've all gone Alba Fire, apart from you, Monty, that went Isla Dawn. And then the main event, we think, for the NXT Championship, Braun Breaker versus Apollo Crews. I love Crews. He looks into the future, but I've gone against Braun so many fucking times. So many times.
That's fair. You've been burned too many times. I get you.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's one part of this little angle, which if they delete all of the friendship stuff and actually build this up, this part would be so valuable to me because I felt like they focus only on it. This is what kind of tipped it off that Apollo probably wouldn't win because they only focused on it a short part, which was the fact that in his initial NXT run and all of that, he never won. He got an opportunity but didn't win it. And they didn't focus on who he is, a performer, as much as they tried to focus on his friendship and all the stuff going on with Braun. So it kind of made me feel like maybe they'll use this as a vehicle, which, again, hopefully they don't try to turn Apollo heel because I feel like we got a lot of turns at some point. But maybe they do. Maybe they will use it as a vehicle to turn him heel down the line. But I just don't see him prevailing here either against Braun. Yes, they have a lot of similarities physically and all of that. But like you mentioned before, Braun is just on a run, and I don't think they're going to end it here with Apollo. The story they told kind of hurt Apollo for me. If this was more focused on the competition in the ring and just more your traditional type of feud, maybe I would say Apollo had more of a fighting chance. But the way they kind of just went about this whole entire angle, it's hard for me to believe that playing nice is going to get Apollo to win this match over Braun Breaker. So, yeah, I'm going Braun.
Yeah, I mean, if Cruz fucking beats him after, like, Ilya Dragunov hasn't and fucking Tyler Bate, like, I'm just going to quit. I know I've mentioned that a lot today, but, like, it just...
That's fair.
What the fuck? Like, why did Cruz...
Or that triple threat. Like, he overcame that triple threat, which was, like, slim odds. And then just to lose to nice Apollo. Cruz,
exactly,
like...
nice Apollo. Not even fucking Apollo that, could say, I've been in big match situations you haven't in. I've won the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. Right. No one thought I could do it, but I did. But nothing. They just went fishing. So we all went Braun to round us off. But we all have gone different. Like I said, Jaxie went for Cora Jade. We saw Gina going for Grayson Waller. Of course, you for Isla Dawn. So there is a few changes. So,
right.
That is going to be interesting. We'll see what happens. Like I said, we can get a bonus point if we get a perfect score. I think there's been one perfect score this year for NXT, but we shall see what happens.
They always surprise me with one or two.
There's always one or two where I'm like, the New Day are going to win.
That's a great point. As soon as you think you know it, that's exactly what's going to happen. New Day is going to win and have a run in NXT all of a sudden. Yep. Brooks and Jensen versus the New Day.
I hope not, Monty. I hope not. Like we said, it will be interesting. Deadline, of course, we will bring you the review Tuesday, hopefully, but we will sort that out between the two of us. Not on air, of course. But finally, we know when the next NXT event will be. It will be Vengeance Day, which will take place February 4th, 2023. But the most important thing about it, it marks the first standalone NXT event outside of NXT Stand and Deliver to be held outside of Florida since TakeOver Portland in February 2020. Final question again, I ask you, Monty. Are we finally getting the old NXT back?
Slowly but surely. Maybe. It may not be exactly the same, but it's definitely starting to feel that way again. And like you said, once they start full-fledged traveling, maybe for takeovers and stuff, maybe going into next year, maybe they could keep it going after Vengeance Day. We all remember those great times in New Orleans or in Brooklyn, all over the country of NXT just putting on all-time great takeover shows. And I would love to see them get back into that, groove of things. But I don't want to promise that it'll be our old NXT, because again, those days were very, very special. It's still going to be different, but I do think we're definitely getting away from the 2.0 era. Yeah. So that's the most positive part about it, in my opinion.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, that is it. Don't forget, like I said, NXT Deadline is later tonight. Don't forget, of course, also Twitter at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNR JR. You can find the entire WNR team on the Twitter banner. Or Monty, where can people listen to you?
You can listen to us at Mind Monty Pod on Twitter, or you can go to Mind of Monty on YouTube. I'm not gonna give a day because I'm not sure when it drops yet, but we do have a podcast covering a little bit of all the big time news going into Wrestle Kingdom. I probably will get more into that as World Tag League wraps up, and do a little overview on my show. That'll probably be the next show, but either way it goes, check us out, Mind of Monty, YouTube, and at Mind Monty Pod on Twitter.
Yeah, to check. Please listen to Monty doing that, because then that will lead in to the Wrestle Kingdom review that we do at the start of the year. Because, like I said, there's so much going on at the moment. One thing I do love about Impact, because we did our Impact review last time round, every match that Bay and have had in the tag league is available on Impact Plus. So hopefully over Christmas I will sit down and watch 10 tag team matches on these guys.
Yeah, watch a good 10. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. It should be fine. But like we said, the WNR also on Facebook and Instagram, across all good platforms. Send us an email, WNRpodcast@gmail.com. YouTube podcast. We have latest clips and podcasts at the same time on YouTube as we do SoundCloud on your phone. Also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate and review there. So that is it. Like I said, our next episode is NXT Deadline. Until then, I have been James Rowlands and was joined by the mind of Monty. Monty, you are the thing that makes NXT Update the most enjoyable.
Appreciate you. I know for damn sure it ain't three to four Von Wagner matches. I know what don't keep us going. So I'm glad I'm helping you through it.
We gotta get through this. But that is it. Like I said. Thanks for listening, everybody, and bye.